But, Sean, I gave them a deadline of Friday at 8 a.m. to get us everything. And a source had told me where the documents were being kept, Southern District of New York, shock. So we got them all by, hopefully all of them, Friday at 8 a.m., thousands of pages of documents. I have the FBI going through them, and Cash is also, now that we have Cash here, it's a game changer, of course. And Cash is going to, Director Patel is going to get us a detailed report as to why the FBI withheld all of those documents.
Okay.
The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about.
Let's see if her deflections to the stock market work this time.
I provided the evidence today that shows that his statements were false under oath. Kash Patel's statements were false. They are in possession. They were in possession at the time, and they're still in possession of evidence that other men participated in the sex trafficking.
Attorney General Bondi didn't seem to directly answer that question. I mean, what do you make of what she did say?
She didn't answer anything. She came here just ready to talk about the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ, which seems kind of crazy to me.
Not getting the answers we need from Pam Bondi, and she might be happy to offload this to somebody else as well. Because, I just spent 3 hours at the DOJ this week looking on the computers at the unredacted files, and I'm finding evidence of files that they haven't released yet. And I'm going to be over there and keep digging on that. But, we got them to release 3 million files. There's still a lot more they need to get out.
It's so shocking to me when they keep telling us they're all out. Todd Blanche came out, Pam Bondi came, and they're not. Just like, don't lie to me. Like, I don't like being lied to. That's why Republicans are probably going to lose the House.
The House Oversight Committee has just approved a subpoena, voted to bring Bondi to their hearing to testify to them about the Epstein files, the cover-up of the cover-up of the cover-up. Why the DOJ hasn't released all the files, while the ones they have released, they have not redacted survivors' names. This was actually put forward by Nancy Mace. 5 Republicans voted with the Democrats to haul in Pam Bondi to speak to them, to answer questions about why there are missing FBI interviews related to Trump. The ones where underage children accuse him of sexual abuse, why those are missing from the files. The fact is we saw Pam Bondi go in front of the Judiciary Committee and basically not answer anything, and instead of hurl insults and refuse to acknowledge victims, talk about the Dow. It was her way, of course, to just not answer questions in a way that was going to please Trump.
Because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath, and this is all on videotape. You said there's no evidence of a crime. I'm showing you, here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was gonna stop a limo and hurt Donald Trump. And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that could not have been suicide. No one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. You need to interview this witness immediately. Epstein should rot in hell, so should the men who patronized his operation. And as we say here today, there are over 1,000 sex trafficking victims, and you have not held a single man accountable. Shame on you. If you had any decency, you would resign right after this hearing concludes.
The gentleman has expired.
May I respond?
Yeah, I don't know how you respond. No one can.
I did not ask a question.
You're allowed to.
I did not ask a question.
Crime in California. He does not want to talk about
I did not ask a question.
crime in his state.
You can't just add lip stuff. I did not ask a question.
Committee will be in order. The gentleman has yielded back his time. I think our next witness will be more than happy to let the Attorney General
Madam
respond.
Attorney General, would you like?
Because here's the thing, Pam Bondi, above all else, is a lawyer. She understands the fact that she cannot lie to Congress without it being perjury, without her losing her law license, as so many other Trump lawyers have done before. She's probably less willing than Kash Patel was to go in front of Congress and seemingly perjure himself about what was in or not in the Epstein files related to co-conspirators of Epstein. So instead of answering those questions, she instead just put on a performance. The problem is this oversight committee is a different thing. And it's a different thing in part because the Republicans just brought a former Secretary of State and former president to come and testify. And you may have questions about whether or not you like Bill Clinton's testimony, whether or not he gave enough details or not. But the fact is he answered the questions, and so did Hillary Clinton, and they answered it in a seemingly serious way. Pam Bondi isn't going to be able to bluster her way through those questions without looking like somehow she, just being an attorney general, has more of a right to not answer questions than a former president and former secretary of state. The precedent that the Republicans have set is that high-ranking officials need to answer questions from committee members. Pam Bondi needs to answer questions from committee members.
I can tell you that I have a resolution out there that it will be the sense of the Senate that Ghislaine Maxwell should not receive a pardon or clemency. I'm going to bring that to the floor for unanimous consent.
Next week.
We'll see how the floor time is. We're going to try to do it as soon as we can. It'll be the sense of the Senate. Let's see who comes and blocks that. Any senator can block that. But the sense of the Senate should be that this woman should not be provided a pardon or clemency in any case because she was there doing all of this. And about the missing files, the saddest thing for me in that oversight hearing was that the victims, you're all there. I'm here to tell my story. She wouldn't even turn around and look at you.
Pam Bondi.
She looked down, Pam Bondi. Then she gets up, but what about the Dow? What about the Dow? Well, first of all, nobody pays their bills based on the Dow. They pay their bills based on the paycheck. But what about the Dow? She didn't. It was shameful. And I think she was ashamed even the way she looked down as you stood there so bravely. I'm so proud of you. And we don't want Ghislaine Maxwell to have any clemency, any pardon, or any puppies, whatever she gets in prison.
Yeah.
She needs to stay there. She needs to, well, as far as I'm concerned, she can rot in hell. But nothing is, nothing, in no world should she get any pardon.
When Pam Bondi goes in front of that hearing, perhaps she will also keep in mind something that Congressman Balint said to Kristi Noem in that committee hearing the day before Kristi Noem was fired by Trump, which is that you don't have immunity and that there will be time to hold you accountable. Kristi Noem seemed to be a little bit more passive in that hearing, and that was because perhaps she thought she was on her way out. So let this be a warning to Pam Bondi that Trump will not always have your back, may not decide to pardon you, and will fire you at a whim even if you do his bidding. Hopefully, she will keep that in mind when she goes to testify in front of the Oversight Committee. Because at the end of the day, the victims and survivors of the Epstein and all the other co-conspirators of Epstein deserve justice and accountability, and they deserve the top lawyer of this country to answer questions honestly, truthfully, and completely, even if it implicates people like Trump and other powerful men and women.
You have said that we are a nation of laws. Yes. Nobody is above the law. You are not above the law. Todd Lyons is not above the law. No one working for you, nobody working for you is above the law. And you think you're immune from accountability. But I promise you this, one day, he is not going to be president anymore. He is not going to be in charge. And when that day comes, we will still be here. And we will still be seeking accountability. And in hearings like this, we are going to continue to prove your guilt.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to add the MeidasTouch podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts for new updates every single day.